Hello, my name is Walter Torous, and I'm a senior lecturer at the MIT Center for Real Estate. In the past almost 25 years, I spent at the finance department at the Anderson School of Management at UCLA in Los Angeles. And it was there that I developed my interest in fixed income securities and mortgages and this whole area of mortgage securitization. And I began my teaching career at the University of Michigan, and then, as I mentioned, I went to UCLA. And I was at UCLA until coming to MIT last year, apart from spending 2 years at the London Business School, which made me appreciate sort of the international aspect of capital markets. But I'm very excited to be here at MIT and to do research and teaching in the area of real estate finance, especially mortgage finance and the securitization of mortgages. My affiliation at MIT is not only with the Center for Real Estate, but it's also with the Sloan School of Management. So my appointment is joint, and I think that has a particular benefit for students coming to the Center for Real Estate. When I teach my classes, many, if not, most of the students are actually from Sloan. They're either regular Sloan MBA students, or Sloan has, in the last few years, put together a program called the Masters in Finance, and that's a one-year program with an emphasis on finance. And what I think is important for students here at the CRE is the fact that in their classes, they'll be able to rub shoulders with the Sloan students. I think that's beneficial today because there's a lot you as a CRE student can learn from the Sloan students, and of course vice versa. And I think it's also important in a more long-term perspective because, again, when you go into the real estate industry, financing is extremely important, and you need to sort of deal with finance people, interact with finance people, speak the finance language, and there's no better way to sort of begin that process than sort of rubbing shoulders with them in the classroom. And by taking my class in securitization here at the CRE, you will have ample opportunity to do so. My research has centered on a rather broad array of topics in the world of finance. I began by being interested in interest rates and, if you will, the yield curve and how it's determined. And then I became interested in financial distress, bankruptcy, and eventually I became interested in mortgage-backed securities, various mortgages, and how they're priced. And it's quite a very interesting field because it involves trying to integrate decisions made by individuals, yourselves, your parents, whether they should default on a loan, worst case scenario, of course, whether they should refinance the loan, should they get a new loan, and sort of trying to model sort of human behavior, which has, if you will, a behavioral trait associated with it, and then integrating that into, if you will, models to price securities is really the challenge that we face with pricing mortgage-backed securities and, if you will, knowing how to use them and when to buy them and when to sell them. So my research, literally over the last 25 years, has centered a lot on mortgage-backed securities. And obviously after the financial crisis of 2007 and 2008, a lot more emphasis has been placed on these securities, and my research has been sort of continuing with even more emphasis on mortgage-backed securities. As I've mentioned earlier, my class here at the CRE is a class on securitization. It's entitled The Securitization of Mortgages and Other Assets. So again, one of the points that I want to make is that we're not only interested in securitizing mortgages, both residential and commercial mortgages in my class, but we're also interested in securitization of other types of assets. Because again, securitization is an extremely important aspect of modern finance. My class is very comprehensive, and I attempt to make it extremely rigorous. And I do that because, again, when you graduate from this program, you will be competing with students from, who've come from other programs, from other backgrounds, and it's an extremely competitive environment, and you have to have the best training possible. And my goal in this class is to provide you that training in securitization. And I also spend a lot of time in terms of hedging. Hedging is an extremely important activity in the world of finance. Many times institutions have exposure to housing risk or automobile loan risk, and it's important to sort of make use of products to hedge that risk so that you minimize your risk exposure. And again, that's another topic that we cover in my class. Securitization is extremely important. It's going to grow more so into the future, and I think it's a really important class to have as we enter the 21st century.